So it would be a $6 trillion company. And right now it is, 600?
So 10x, still 10x.
Still 10x, and that is a conservative. So you don't really have to go to the moon. You don't have to calculate the robots.
The world largely sees Tesla as a car company. Today, 87% of its revenue still comes from the automotive business. But Elon believes that in the future, the world will see Tesla as an AI company. In this year's Tesla AI Day, many of the team members also said that they believe that they're solving hardcore technology problems beyond just making cars. In this video, I invite Ezer, who is a Tesla investor based in Malaysia, to hear his views. Is Tesla a car company or a technology company? Click subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Ezer, what should the audience know about you?
Nothing much, just a regular Tesla investor. I have been investing in real estate before getting into stocks. So I'm actually retired based on that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And Tesla is like your second journey, your second life.
Yeah, second journey. Yeah, exactly.
A few weeks ago, you were on Warren Redley's channel talking about your analysis, your viral tweet on Tesla board versus Boston Dynamics, where May Musk also commented on your message as well. Can you tell us a little bit more now on how your journey with Tesla began? You mentioned it was 2019. Tell us more.
As I told Warren, I actually can't remember precisely why I invested in Tesla, but I remembered vaguely that sometime in 2019, I heard a lot about Tesla, mostly negative news, maybe from Tesla Q, like the company is going bankrupt. That was during the factory hell, is it? Is that what Elon call it? Ramping hell.
Production hell.
Production hell.
Weeks away from bankruptcy.
Exactly. So that, I believe that was what caught my attention. And then I started looking into it, into what is this electric car thing and Elon Musk and all of that. And the more I looked into it, the more I liked it actually. So I got the opposite effect. Instead of thinking the company is going to go bankrupt, I'm thinking this is the future, right? In what they're doing, if the Model 3 ramp up well, it's going to take off like crazy. So that's where I put in the rest of the cash that I have that's not invested in real estate into Tesla. So basically I'm all in Tesla when it comes to my cash position, and the other half is all in real estate.
That is quite a leap. So 2019, when some would say the peak of FUD, not too far from Elon's tweet on funding secured as well. Most people would be scared of.
Yeah, actually before that, before the funding secured tweet, I invested in Tesla. Yeah.
Was there anything specific to you that actually drew you into Tesla? Was it your interest, your love in the technology, your IT background? What was it?
I believe even in the late 90s, I was very much an environmentalist. When I was running my IT company, I also did some free work. Like I had a website on how to get into sustainable future. I was talking about solar panel even before people were talking about it. At that time, solar panel was, I would say, at least 10 times more expensive. But the same thing that Elon had to explain to people, you have to drive the cost down. I remember those days when I was going on forum talking about solar panels, people would say, it's ridiculous, no one can afford it. But I was saying but what if you have mass production? And sure enough, today is less than one-tenth the price. And the same thing is going to happen to EVs.
Exactly.
Right? So when I hear all this FUD, sure, it's expensive today, Model S and X at the time, right? But what about Model 3? I can see Elon's plan so clearly, he's done the X, before I invested, he's done the X and S. And now he's in the midst of, this was before the China factory, right? Like they are in a Fremont hell, right? So I'm thinking, once they get this, the TAM even for this is pretty big. And he has the third plan down, correct?
Yes.
He has the even cheaper 25,000 model.
Yes.
Which today I think is going to be the $30,000 model.
Inflation.
But in my mind, that could easily bring it to the 20 million that they are planning. Even at that time, they didn't say 20 million, but in my mind, you're talking about multi-millions. So that's where I got hooked. I'm saying, okay, this company I want to invest in. Yeah.
I sense a deep conviction in there. What is your investing thesis on Tesla?
I think I posted a full thread on this. I'm pretty conservative, coming from a businessman myself. Um, I understand, like, every single day, most people don't realize that in business, you are going to face issues every single day. Like, I have to solve like dozens of issues every single day, right? From employee issues to all kinds of stuff, right? So same thing with Tesla. I can see that, it's not going to be a smooth all the way. Like maybe some ultra bulls will think Tesla would 3x in 3
This year,
3x in this year, which is ridiculous, right? You already have a market cap of like what now, 700 billion.
Yes.
You're talking about all of a sudden bigger than Apple in few months.
Yes.
It's not possible, right? But anyways, it can also drop. So this is the problem. Whenever I talk to people investing in Tesla, I have a couple of caveats. I always tell them, don't invest money that you don't have, or don't take margin loans. I know some people will be opposed to this. They will think that leverage up is good. But you have to think of the worst case scenario. What happens if there's a bad recession? What if Tesla dropped by 70%? Just for a short period of time, which means it can wipe you out, even if you have a small margin loan. But if you're a long-term investor, you only invest money that you don't need for the next 3 to 5 years, then you can get through anything. So this is mainly my investment thesis. It's based on a very conservative calculation. Those who read my thread will see, at this point, I'm only looking at Tesla, as I talked to you earlier, as their car revenue, not as a car company. Don't get me wrong; it's a tech company.
Okay.
But for my own investment thesis, all you need to do is just look at how many cars they can make by 2030. Let's assume 20 million. Let's assume they're making the 25,000, which is $30,000 car. Assume they can make $10,000 a car, which is quite conservative because right now they're making like $15,000 a car. So assume they make $10,000 a car, and assume a conservative 30 PE. That would be what? 6 trillion,
Yeah.
correct? So it would be a $6 trillion company. And right now it is 600.
So 10x, still 10x.
Still 10x, and that is a conservative. So you don't really have to go to the moon. You don't have to calculate the robots. You don't have to calculate everything. And even with my calculation, I have like a even ultra bear. Assuming you don't want 30x, right? Assuming it becomes 10x PE. That's still a $2 trillion company. So even from my conservative, just looking at cars, and you go even more conservative,
Right.
Assuming it's a non-growing company in 10 years, it's still 4x from here. So where else can you put your money for 4x? So that's my thesis, like very conservative.
Yes.
It's like a first principles way of looking at, is it safe to put your money into Tesla? But this is not financial advice, this is just for me. This is how I look at my own investment. I suppose if anyone wants to look at it this way, that's fine too.
To build on that on safety, you talked about how this is probably one of the better risk-adjusted investments. And if you look at the absolute worst case scenario, what if some crazy black swan situation happened to Tesla? Why concentrate fully your equity portfolio on Tesla? There could be one or two other great companies as well.
Okay, I don't have all my equity in Tesla, as you know. Most of my money is in real estate. So I'm already retired on that. So from rental income. But all of my cash equity is in stocks. And I would say 99% is in Tesla. Maybe 2%, some in crypto, some in other stuff that I play with, like play money. But all of them in Tesla. Why? Because you asked the right question. Risk adjusted. And I don't look at it as risk adjusted. I look at it as in the safest stock. So if I'm going into this long term, where would my money be the safest at? So I'm looking at Tesla in the long term, how much money they can make. Because everything else is noise. At the end of the day, the company's valuation will be how much money they make times a PE, right? Times a multiple. So as I said just now, even if you put a 10 multiple, assuming it's a non-growing company, which I think none of us assume that, in just 8 years, it can't possibly be a non-growing company. But assuming even if it's a non-growing company, it is still a 3x from here. So this is why I believe it's the safest place to put your money. But in the short term, like you said, black swan event, anything can happen. I've seen companies go, like since the .com, right?
Yes.
Even Amazon have dropped 90% at one point, right? 90%, which means even if you have a 10% margin, you're wiped out. So I always tell people, zero margin. That 10% is not going to help you that much, the leverage anyways. But it has a possibility of wiping you out,
True.
right?
A big part of Tesla's ability to be a good investment is that it can scale and it can make EVs profitably. Many people are asking what's stopping other car companies from copying Tesla? Build gigafactories, get gigapress, supply raw materials, have a great software arm. What's happening here?
Nothing actually. I don't stand with the ultra bulls that think that Tesla is the only company that can build cars. The Chinese are building cars cheaply. In fact, I think companies in China could emulate Tesla very quickly. They are all getting gigapress now, and companies that BID is integrated like Tesla. In fact, they beat Tesla to the batteries, right? They make cheaper batteries than Tesla right now today.
And BYD is also going to supply their blade batteries to Giga Berlin.
Yeah. So in a sense, when it comes to making the physical product, nothing. But not legacy autos. Legacy autos as in European or American companies, or even Japanese companies, they have too much legacy costs. They have a lot of loans, which is they have to service, all the interest loans. They have unions, they have employees that have pension schemes. So I don't think they can be competitive until maybe if they all declare bankrupt and they start from zero. But the Chinese, right, or maybe the Koreans, those who are starting from scrap, they can copy Tesla. Tesla's patents are all open, right? And they're not afraid to copy, right? So I don't see the physical goods, but when it comes to software, this is where I think the dividing path is. Like, I believe it's going to be extremely difficult for any auto companies to, in fact, I think it will be impossible. As a tech guy myself, right? I'm a programmer basically. I cannot see anyone who's not a programmer running a car company that can even tell their programmers what to do. You take Mary Barra, or I don't know who's her Ford CEO, Jim Farley. Do you think they know what to tell their programmers? That's why they keep buying one software company after another. But if you don't even understand the coding itself, the software, which Elon Musk does, he will go to his engineer and say, don't BS me, I know this can be done. I run a tech company and every day my programmers BS me, no, this cannot be done, this is too hard. I say, I'll do the database for you. You just do the front end, because I don't have the time. So not all the programmers are actually good,
Okay.
right? Maybe if you look at Google or Meta or even Twitter, right? Probably 90% of them are just lazing around, making excuses why they can't do things. That's why you have someone like Elon Musk who comes in and fire everybody and only keep the good ones, right? And that's why Tesla as a company is so efficient. So I would say the real competitor to Tesla in the future would be Android, will be Google, and Apple.
Interesting.
Because I guarantee you mark my word for this, OEM better realize it now, or they'll follow Nokia's path. It'll be too late. They either go and work with Google and Android today, let them do the software, resign themselves to just making some money in the hardware, and maybe some profit sharing in the software, because they're never getting that. Now, the Chinese, on the other hand, is you have to think of the China when it comes to software. It's geopolitical. There's zero chance Google, Apple is ever getting into the China market because the government will not allow it. Even Alibaba, when they did Alipay, is a threat to the Chinese, the Chinese government. I'm not against the Chinese government or anything like that. I'm just saying this geopolitical. So there's zero chance of any Western companies, any big tech, that we will be allowed to rule the Chinese software market. Same thing, the Chinese companies will not be allowed to rule in the Western countries. They just don't trust each other. So you are going to have a divide. Within the Chinese market, the Chinese software makers will be king.
Right.
You're talking about the Tencent. Those are the companies that's going to provide the software for their cars. And then you're talking about in the West and the rest of the world, you're talking about Android and Apple. And if Tesla is fast enough, they could probably license theirs out too. And this is why I keep pushing this idea that Tesla should make a phone. And I know I get a lot of arguments against it because Elon Musk says phones are obsolete, but I guarantee you it's not obsolete. 20 years from now, we'll still be using a phone, right?
I know, man. He wants to use Neuralink. Neuralink. The best part is no part.
That's what they're saying, right? Neuralink, right? But I think people don't understand the technology of Neuralink, right? You probably have a colony on Mars before something like a Neuralink can replace something like a phone. If you understand the bits of information our brain is getting from our eyes, our audio, and all these things, right? And to just have a device. And right now, you're talking about a few thousand connections in a brain of trillions of connections. So Neuralink is not coming anytime soon. It can solve paralysis and all that, right? You just need a little bit of information. But you're not replacing a phone. And why I think Tesla making a phone is important, because they are now making robots. They are also making other gadgets. They're making smart cars. They're making robots. If you look at all of Tesla's Elon Musk company, including the Neuralink, guess where they all connect to? Your phone or your wearables, right? Either your watch or your phone. Whether it's your smart car or even the Neuralink device, they all connect to your phone. And even Neuralink now is hiring people who are able to write apps for phones to work for them, because they now have to write the app for the phone.
Yes.
So same thing with Tesla. I think the only, if you look at some of the complaints, people who own Tesla, their software is not as good when it comes to linking with their phones, right? The apps and all that. You have millions of or hundreds of thousands of apps out there that is not compatible with the car.
Let us know what you think of Ezer's thoughts here. I think we can all agree there's a huge platform opportunity for Tesla. They already have 3 million cars on the road and growing. And they've got more platforms coming up in the future, as we'll talk about later, in its AI business. A big part of this is possible when Tesla has scale. Today, 70 million cars are sold per year. Elon believes that they aim to sell up to 20 million cars per year by 2030, which is 30% of the total annual new car sales in the world. What's your take on that?
Easily. I don't see the car market as 70 million. I don't see, I have a different thought on how the EV market is going to evolve. So some people believe that the moment you solve FSD, the car market will disappear. I have a completely different thought. I think the car market will expand. Why? Think about it. I think if you live in the US, maybe everything you see are cars. But if you live anywhere else in the world, vast majority of people are riding motorbikes, right? I'm talking a vast majority. For every one car, you maybe have several motorbikes, right? It's because of affordability. I believe EVs are going to be so cheap that you're going to see pod-like city cars, single driver type, or even maybe dual driver type, which is going to match the cost of a motorbike today. Which means people are going to switch from motorbikes. You're talking about over 100 million cars on the road every year. I mean, new car sales are going to expand drastically. And I include all these as cars, because as long as you are inside, you're not like on a two-wheeler. Even if you're on a three-wheeler or four-wheeler, I consider all these cars. So I think the market is going to expand drastically. And I think Tesla, your question is whether they can get to 20 million easily. Right? People say demand issue. There is not a demand issue per se. If you look at the affordability chart, in fact, Elon Musk has said this himself. You can make a product of infinite, like people want it infinitely, right? But if they cannot afford it, they still won't be able to buy it. It comes down to affordability. So to sell 20 million cars, you're talking about Tesla needing to bring in the Cybertruck, which will bring it to, I think between the SEXY and the Cybertruck, easily 5 to 7 million. that you hear a lot of demand cliff for Tesla. On the one side, in the ultra bulls, they believe that Tesla will sell every car they make at $50,000, which is not my belief. Because if you look at the total number of the TAM, total addressable market for various price, basically everybody still have a salary. When you go to the bank for a loan, there's a maximum amount of amount you can take to pay for your car every month. So it doesn't matter even if you really want it, if you cannot afford it, you can't buy it. So I do believe there is no demand issue for Tesla to sell all the way to 20 million cars, except this price adjustment. So as we have seen, I think we had some arguments right before Tesla reduced the price for the China. I said it's imminent, it's coming, but everybody says no, Tesla don't have to reduce price. Boom, they reduce the price. So they might have to reduce price for Europe too, as the recession comes, right? US, I don't think they have to reduce the price because of the tax credit. You're talking about $7,500 buffer there.
Yes.
Plus whatever battery they get. If they really get 40% on their battery, I don't think they ever have to reduce price in the US market. But everywhere else, they may have to reduce price to continue growing the numbers. People are forgetting how fast Tesla is growing. They're growing 50% deliveries or production every year, which means by next year, if they continue to grow 50%, they're going to add another 700,000?
Yeah, so about 2.1 million cars next year.
So they're going to add another 700,000. You're telling me they don't have to reduce price. It's ridiculous. And then the following year, you're talking about adding another million cars. And following year, they add another, 1 point something million. So the market at that price range are not going to absorb these numbers. But the revenue is going to grow, profit is going to grow, and continue to grow. So it's still a great company. Like I say, even if you conservatively calculate at $10,000 a car, even without FSD, which I believe you don't even have to solve FSD to make money from it, right? Right now, they are increasing the price of FSD, which is pushing people to buy the subscription. And I do believe that those people, at least in the country where FSD drives really well, that people could pay anywhere between $100 to $200 a month. I think it's probably a no-brainer for them to pay that kind of money, right? So you're talking about per user base. Okay, let's be conservative again. What if I charge $99 for every user to have that FSD to help them 99% of the time, right? Maybe 1% disengagement. Do you think people would pay?
In North America, absolutely.
Yeah, and Europe, right? For $99. I think people will pay, at least 50% of the people, right? Or even more, right? So you're talking about you're adding $1,000 to $2,000 per car per year. So that's huge for margin, right? Even if they have to reduce the cost of the car, you reduce the margin there, but you increase the margin on the software. The margin is not going anywhere in the longer term, right? So in fact, it's probably going to increase. So I believe this is where the profit is going to start coming in. Even if they don't solve robo-taxis, right? This is huge. So I'm very confident about Tesla in this sense.
Part of the 20 million contribution is Ezer ordering his Cybertruck.
Yeah, I did.
You mentioned that you're not a car person, but the Cybertruck really captured your imagination.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Unlike most people, when the Cybertruck unveil came in, I saw all the groans from the internet. Oh, this is like a pixel. This is like a cartoon car, But I tell you, it just captured my imagination like nobody's business. I'm not a car guy. I don't like expensive cars. Even if you give me a Porsche, I don't know what to do with it. You give me a Lamborghini, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I'm more of an AV guy, audio video guy. I would spend any amount of money on that. But cars, no. But when I saw the Cybertruck, it's like I'm a sci-fi guy. This looks like straight out from the sci-fi, sci-fi books, like the golden era of sci-fi. It's literally a car you can drive on the moon, right? It's made of stainless steel. Just imagine, the most expensive equipment you have in your house, like your kitchen equipment, is all made of stainless steel. It's actually pretty expensive stuff, stainless steel, right? Compared to your other cars, right? And it's beautiful without paint. If you look at stainless steel up front, it's actually much more beautiful than people actually imagine.
It's also the same steel on the Starship.
Yeah, correct. So just go and look at your kitchen appliance. Those are made of stainless steel. So not sure you can see here, but over there. But anyways, stainless steel is actually very beautiful up close. And I think people are going to get a shock when they see the Cybertruck up close, right? Number one, stainless steel. Number two, maintenance free. So who are the truckers? These are people who use the car for work, most of the time. And it's like a dream come true. I don't have to paint it. I don't have to worry about dents. I don't have to worry about people scratching my car, right? And that alone will save them how much money, right? And this car is built for the middle of the truck market, which is the largest, right? The design is like the F-150, which is the biggest selling truck.
America's top selling car.
Yeah. So basically, imagine a truck market in the US, 11 million cars per year. And I believe people like me, who are not a car person or even car persons, I believe a lot of us will actually then buy the truck because it's now like between a car and, right? To me, I can use it like a car also, right? So it's really a no-brainer. It's the next level SUV for someone like me. Even though I don't need a truck, but it's like a SUV next level.
There are reports that there are more than 1 million confirmed and solid pre-orders for the Cybertruck. When Giga Austin starts producing it by middle of next year, their current planned capacity is about 250,000 Cybertrucks per year, which means they've got a backlog for years, and they will definitely need new production lines for the Cybertruck. You talked about sci-fi. You recently tried the Tesla Model 3 here in Malaysia. One of Elon's aspirations is that their cars are like robots on wheels. However, the experience is not same everywhere. We've seen a lot of videos on whole mass blocks in San Francisco, LA. Can you tell us how was your Tesla Model 3 experience in Malaysia?
We are driving in roads that are unmarked. I don't think it would work. In fact, the guy that is showing me, the reseller, he says they don't even use it here that often, unless you go on the highways. If you go on the highways, yes. So when I look at the screen, sometimes you will see the motorbike comes on the screen. It detects. Sometimes you don't see it at all. So sometimes you see the lanes when there's no lanes. Sometimes you don't see it at all. So I think in many parts of the world, there's still a lot of work to be worked on. But we didn't say westernized countries where lanes are marked properly, signboards are done well, you don't have that many potholes and all kinds of issues. It probably, like I say, you might not even need to solve it fully. People will still pay you the $99 to $199 per month. So that shouldn't be an issue. And honestly, if you ask me when they will be able to launch a robotaxi, I would only count that into any kind of model when it happens. Because we all know Elon time, right? It's the next 2 weeks or next year and next year, but we never know. So he says 2024. It could be 2025. Could be 2026. We don't know. So that's why I don't put this in my model. But I think like we checked here before, they may not need the full level 5 to run the robotaxi. They could still run it in small towns as a small fleet first.
Yes.
And learn from that. And they could also map it out in such a way where the robotaxis only go to certain stops within a big city, even like let's say San Francisco or let's say Chicago, right? They can say that, okay, it operates more like a bus service. Like it will only go to all the important places where they can perfect the software, right? During that, they can still have a lot of customers that way, right? It literally takes over the bus routes, takes over the train or the metro routes, right?
And they can also just start with the Tesla Semi business first. That's probably the easiest to automate.
Yeah, correct. I was actually shocked when they say they're going to make 50,000 semis in 24, right?
It's crazy.
I was just thinking a few thousand, right?
How?
They have plans. They have big plans for the semi. Yeah. So you're right. But I think the robotaxi, like I say, is probably just like I was talking to Warren about the robots. People don't realize that you don't have to perfect something to make money on it. The robots, just like the robotaxi, as long as you can make it do some simple tasks that a human being is doing in a factory today, a repetitive task, it's already making money for the company. because that's one less employee you have to hire, right? So we were talking about staggering the amount of work that these things can do. Same with the robots, same with the robo-taxis. Like I say, you could start with just point to point. Okay, from this mall to that mall to, maybe not house to house. Even that, you can already make so much money from the robo-taxis, correct? Or from bus routes or things that you can really program it, like you can really train the robo-taxi to work really well in those locations. They can launch it that way, and it doesn't matter if it takes them 2 or 3 more years to get to that full level 5. They still have to expand the fleet, right?
Mhm.
So it really doesn't take away at all to their launch window, I think.
It's an addition. It's like how for Ezer right now, the core of its valuation is still on the automotive business, the car business. Can you walk us through what are the real world milestones you need to see, say year by year, for you to progressively add their robotaxi, AI, and also robotics business into your Tesla price valuation?
Okay, I think most people don't realize I don't do modeling. Unlike, there are a lot of great models out there, right, that people make, but I'm not one of them. So when I say my model, it's actually a model, it's a yes or no model. Like, should I invest in Tesla or no? So I am purposely, I emphasize purposely, being extremely conservative and using this very conservative number, ask myself, would my money be safe and growing faster than anywhere else I can put it in? And the answer is yes, right? Again, it's not financial advice, right? It's just for me personally. So when people ask me to do a model, that's not my forte. I don't know how to calculate all the exact revenue and all of those stuff. I think there are other people who can do it much better than me. Also, I would suggest if you want to look at those models, look at the more conservative side of it, right? You might not, if you think that even at the most conservative side is a great investment, then put your money into Tesla. Otherwise, don't put your money, because everything else is up in the air for now. But all of them are like option calls, free option calls, right? If the robot really comes in, it will blow everything out of the water. When the robot taxi starts making money, it will also blow everything out of money. And the energy, we actually don't know what the margin is yet. That's why I don't even calculate that, right? Sure, they're going to expand, but I haven't seen any great margin from it yet. So until they do the same kind of like margin like a car, or it could end up being a commodity, right? Make a tiny amount, even though they sell in terms of, it's just like Amazon, right? 90% of the revenue comes from the retail,
Yes.
but their retail makes zero money. So could that be the Tesla energy sector? Could it be half the revenue but makes zero amount of money? We don't know yet. Again, don't come and flame me. I'm the kind of guy who looks at things when it happens. I don't count the chickens before they hatch, right? So I want to see what is the power wall. For sure, Tesla is making a lot of money. But what about energy storage? There's just essentially batteries, right? Batteries plus whatever other things they add on to it, which the Chinese battery makers can make. In fact, they do. So they could all drive the price down. There's no differentiating in a car, like you buy a Tesla because it's self-driving. That's the software difference. Well, when it comes to energy storage, what difference is that? It's simple software. It's not overcomplicated software that anybody can do, right? So I don't know yet. For the energy, I don't know yet.
Good thing is that there are possibilities, and just like Ezer talked about what could go wrong, there's also a fair bit of what could go right.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's, in some people, the bull case. For many years, Wall Street has seen Tesla as a car company. They assign automotive industry analysts on it, and they don't even have FSD in most of their valuations. Recently, more institutional investors have been buying Tesla stock. Elon has talked about how we always start from a position where we assume we are wrong, and over time we become less wrong. How do you see institutional investors' perception of Tesla as a car or technology company shifting?
I think I have actually met some institutional investors, bankers and all that. You'll be surprised how unaware they are of any kind of technology. Not just Tesla. Look at Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, have missed out on all of the tech companies, correct? He missed out on every tech company because they don't get tech. So when you talk about institutional investors, you're talking about old-timers, people who are ultra-conservative. You're talking about government officials that run pension funds. They are automated to invest in all these ratings agencies, whatever they tells you to invest in. None of them actually do any kind of analysis, right? They will just invest a tiny percent into different sectors. They are all diversified so that, okay, if we get our 5% return a year, 6% return a year,
It's good.
it's good, right?
But
We don't want to rock the
not
boat.
with today's inflation rate though.
Yeah, but that's what they're doing, right?
It's insane.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing because they don't. None of them want to put their feet in the fire. What happens if they get burned? They get fired from the job because remember this. When you talk about institutional investors, these are people who actually have a job. They're not actual investors. They're fund managers. They manage people's money, and they don't want to play with it, right? So and I don't think. And all I can tell you this: when you say, will they realize the tech side of Tesla or these kind of things? I don't think they ever will. But when the tech side starts making money, that's when it gets into the head because when they see the money, to them money is money. It doesn't matter where it comes from to these institutional investors. So when they see the money and the margin, that's how they evaluate a company.
Got it.
So when they see, okay, it doesn't matter whether they still think Tesla is a car company. If it has a 30% margin for years to come, their mindset is going to change. Okay, so what if it's a car company but it has 30% margin, right? So to them, I think it's dollars and cents. That's why I always tell people when you value a company, it always comes back to dollars and cents anyways. It doesn't matter whether you invest in a traditional company or whatever. At the end of the day, you want to see what's the cash flow. What's the money you get back in your pocket?
Yes.
So it really doesn't matter whether it's a tech or anything. Because in the future, everything will be tech. Believe it or not, everything will just be tech, right? So it will be the new norm. So people won't be talking about tech or non-tech anymore in the future. Everything will just be a business. So I think there is no dividing line there, except how much money it's going to make and what's the... Actually, even the margin is not that important because if you make a lot of money, the bottom line is how much money, right? How much the valuation of the company and how much money you make.
And cash.
Yeah.
Tesla has great free cash flow.
Yeah. So they can invest. Now, if you have a lot of cash flow, which means you can either give the money back to your shareholders in dividends or share buyback, which is ultimately how you value a company. Like, okay, if you start let's say if you start a private company, if I put in $100,000 and you say every year I'll give you back $10,000 from the business, that means you're making money, that's 10% return. I should be pretty happy with that. I think ultimately that's how you value a company. Like, what's the return back every year? Is that return higher than what I can do in a fixed D or in a bond market or somewhere else? So in terms of Tesla, because they're growing so fast, your ROI I calculated even in a very conservative manner is over 25% annualized over the next 10 years. I can't think of anything. Over 10 years. I can't think of anything that even come close to that kind of ROI, right? Can you? I don't know.
Not yet.
Maybe they are, right? In hindsight, in 10 years from now, you can probably see some company that you should have invested in that will have 50% return. But probably they start off at a very low market cap today, right? But today, even very clearly in my mind, and in very conservative numbers, I can see a 25% growth for Tesla.
Tesla has done a good job with the car S-curve. We've all seen Dave Lee's chart.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would be Tesla's biggest executional risk in the next few X-curve? Robotaxis, AI, robots.
Like I told you, the risk is all in the ecosystem. I believe the future in the maybe 10 years, 15 years from now, the big techs, however many big techs there are going to absorb every business in the world. It doesn't, whether it's retail, whether it's in medicine, anything is going to be absorbed by the big tech. Whoever owns the operating system is just going to keep incorporating these things, every business into that. And this comes back to why the phone is important. Because whoever owns that top level phone, that device that is your window to the world, will own the world. Because Tesla could be any company in the future, something that you can't even imagine today. But if they don't own the operating system, they can be disrupted. So that's why I say, like, out of the FANG, right? Facebook and all that, I only value two of them left, Google and Apple. Because the rest can be disrupted, as you have seen, right? By these two. And then the third OS today, people don't realize, is Microsoft. So I would say that the big tech today, Microsoft, Google, and Apple, can actually disrupt everybody else. If they, I mean, with the caveat that they have the right leadership. Of course, if they don't see what I see, same thing, someone else can come and disrupt them.
If Tesla was only 50% successful, like you said, they don't have to be all the way, but they were only 50% successful in all their ambitions on robotics, AI, robotaxis, what does this mean for Tesla investors?
You'll still 4x your money. It's a no-brainer, right? Because my model is, like I say, it's not a model. It's basically a first principles way of thinking how much money this company is making by 2030. I'm just looking at it until 2030, right? Plus minus 2 years. So by 2030, this company is easily worth in the multi-trillions. So you are 4x to 10x the money. Within this range, 4 to 10x is already conservative. I'm not going to go to the 20, 30x. Because if it does happen, like you say, any of these things come true. If robotaxi even delay by 2 years, even 2026, you have 4 years to 2030 to expand that fleet. Each car making $20,000, $30,000 a year. The amount of money is mind-boggling, right? And if you talk about robots, let's say they don't have any robots that can be working in a nursing home or at home, but if they have robots that can just take over 10% of factory workers, they could have hundreds of millions of robots out in the... I mean, I'm not talking about Tesla selling the robots, right? If I was Elon Musk, I would never sell the robot. I would lease the robot to any factory. Okay, you tell me you are a Coca-Cola, you're doing bottling, and these are the people who are putting the cap. I don't know. The cap is probably put on by the machine. But there are certain lines where you still need the human to do. What if I lease to you each of this person one-to-one, salary-wise? But now you don't have to deal with the labor department. You don't have to deal with employees asking for leave of all kinds of issues, right? Would you pay me that money as a factory operator?
Yes.
Yeah. So even if, like I say, you don't have to perfect anything to make money. Bill Gates knows that very well. Remember the Windows we use, full of bugs, everyone, but he says just release it, right? Still making money. So same thing with the robots. As long as he can do even 1% of factory work, that's 100 million robots out there. Is it? Maybe 10 million, right? So even 5%, 10% of factory work alone, right? And people don't realize, not all factories are Fortune 500 companies where they can automate every task. Vast majority of factories are run by mom and pop shop, right? With maybe 50 employees, 100 employees. They will not be able to buy those specialized machines. They still use employees. But now you go to them and say, I replace your employee one for one. Instead of paying them the salary, you pay me the lease of that robot. And you don't have to spend $10 million on automating an entire factory. Some people say, why not they just automate? Well, not every company is that big. Because you need to invest. Like if you're a Porsche, you're only making, say, 100,000 cars or 10,000 cars. Let's say you're only making 10,000 cars. You think you can build the casting machines and all of that just to make 10,000 cars? Well, you'll never reap the reward back,
Exactly.
So I would say 90% of the factories in the world are operated with small numbers of people, and they cannot spend the millions on automating it. So if you have a robot that can take over even 10% of those jobs, it's huge amount of money. So I think, like I say, if you just value Tesla as the current revenue stream they have today, for sure that you know in your mind, just the car and their margin, you remove all of this as option calls, it's still a 4 to 10x return.
Thank you,
Again,
Ezer.
this is not my financial advisor, so you have to do your own thinking, basically. I actually personally don't see why I should maximize just to invest, because if I look at it very conservatively, I already want to invest in it. Why should I bother with the rest? There's no logic to it.
You've made a very compelling case, and whether you see Tesla as a car company or as a technology company, understand your own valuation, your own long-term decisions for investing in it. I've learned so much from this conversation, and also thank you for sweating it out with me in your kitchen, Ezer. And do you know anyone else who ordered the Cybertruck? You all see my front of my t-shirt, but I want to say to you, haha, yes. Congratulations on getting your Cybertruck. Hopefully, one day. It's going to ship to the US, right? Because there's no Tesla officially in Malaysia.
Yeah. Well, I hope that they will. I mean, don't you think? Like in the next 2 years, they will come here.
Fingers crossed.
They're
Tesla
already
is
in
in
Singapore,
Singapore.
right?
They're already in Thailand, so it's a sandwich between Malaysia. What Tesla requires is just full ownership of a business,
Yeah.
like how they operate it in China. Thank you so much, Ezer.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Daren. Yeah, another great YouTuber here. Daren actually represents the Asian YouTuber. He's like the top YouTuber in Asia, right? In a sense, right? There's a lot of Western YouTubers, and we really need someone who push Tesla within this region.
The
And
journey-
he understands the culture within Asia more so than I see with other YouTubers, right? You like, for example, if I talk to you about affordability, I see a lot of Westerners do not understand how little money the rest of the world makes compared to them, right? So you will get a different perspective when you watch a channel from Daren Yeo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Asia Pacific is 60% of the world's population. If Tesla truly wants to be successful in its goal for transitioning the world, not just North America, to sustainable energy, we'll do a small part in lending a voice here. You can also follow Ezer on Twitter. I'll put a link down on the handle, the video description. If you found this video useful, please click the like button, hit subscribe, stay updated to more videos on Tesla.